chance to get a roll call?
Sullivan.
Here.
Reed. Here. Smith. Here.
Alright, okay, the motion to approve the minutes from the August 9th meeting?
I make a motion to approve the August 9th meeting.
A second.
Alright, just another new business here, well, old business. The water superintendent received 2 quotes for the sidewalk. We went with the cheaper bid of Hutchins. I hear they're kind of started working on that. Been down there.
We got downtown done.
Nice.
They'll be back maybe next week to do the sidewalk from school places.
Nice. I think that's the next one here.
It took them 2 days, they had it complete, so.
Alright. And that Cole Grove to Sarah was used with the ARPA funds. We had barricades set up for the Assumption Fest. They're since been taken down. But also here, Leaf One's going to be opened up tomorrow. Does that sound?
Yeah, we talked about it yesterday at Water, yeah.
Yeah.
So hopefully it is.
But they're gonna discourage the semis off Chestnut now.
We're gonna have to start getting after him.
I mean, it's convenient for them.
It is, yes.
That's the whole thing. and
I know.
They won't stop now. That's just tearing that road up.
Exactly. Now I've said something to Brian, so I'm gonna kind of get after him because one farmer got after me because they wanted this area cleared. I said, you can't really ask that. Keeping those spots clear so they can make the turn, and I mean that's public parking right there. But no, I'm gonna talk to Brian once it's. But,
Heck yeah. Had a discussion on reimbursement for the storm damage on June 29th. The treasurer was waiting for a return call. We also looked into DCEO regarding a grant for storm damage.
Have you heard anything from FEMA?
no, I haven't. I've told Angel the stuff that you had sent me. So no, not yet.
So you're still trying to get the grant also then, or?
Yeah, I'm trying to get as much as we can.
Like I said before, is that double dipping though? If I get my bill
So
paid, if I get my bill paid.
I brought that up, and the lady couldn't give a thorough answer on it. So we're gonna try both. It's to see. Yeah. I mean, I would.
If you turn in a bill for $10, we get paid from 2 different people. I don't see that's quite right.
Quite right. Yeah.
At all.
Um, Have you heard any more from Belinda? Because she was the one that was like, when I brought it up, she was like, well, no, I'll call her tomorrow and see.
And we need to know if we're getting that or not, because we're cutting trees. So.
Tree still, yeah.
I mean,
There was a time frame they gave it. It was like almost a year.
I mean, but the money's there. We
The
know
money,
that.
the money is there. Yeah, the money is
The
there.
money is there for FEMA. We know that for sure.
For FEMA, it is, yes, from what the governor has declared.
But you're still chasing the other one.
We're trying, yes. So I'm going to call this Belinda and just ask for clarity because she may.
But you're still trying to get paid for it twice, though.
But we're seeing if we can. We're seeing if we can get both things because if one grant can cover one item and not cover the other, then that's where we're trying to get our money at.
FEMA should cover trees,
Yes.
dump truck, backhoe, and labor. It did it before, so I'm not for sure what else.
I didn't even know on this DCEO. She saw it on TV and she reached out to us. That's all I know. And then I was telling her about with the grant through FEMA, and I said, well, can we get some of this reimbursed as well? And she goes, well, I don't know. So I'll ask her.
Alright. There are several trees on the list for the storm damage.
Yeah, probably around, just the trees only would probably be around 25,000. Then we'll add the keep track of machine hours and labor and dump truck and stuff, so.
Street superintendent was working on a price for the generator for the street shed.
Yep, I talked to Craig Butcher, GAB Electric about it, he hasn't got any information.
Okay. Are we going with Generac for that one? I thought we
That's what he
talked
said,
about
yeah, Generac, yep.
Dumpster days would be September 22nd and 23rd. So,
Yep, dumpsters are out there, so.
and, Engineer Mark asked for input for the subdivision regarding the easements, utility, and the possibility of the sidewalk. The width of the road was also discussed. Did you want to talk about the?
Yeah, I can go over, I have a couple of things. So, one thing at the last meeting, we also discussed electric and gas with Ameren, and if they would, install on the back of the lots. I have spoke with Ameren. Their policy will be that they want to have it on the front of the lots for accessibility in the event of access for future, basically the last storms have enlightened them, I guess. If if they were alleys behind the back of the lots, then yes, they could, as long as they would have access, but we're not planning to put alleys, paved, so the electric and gas will have to go up front of the lots. Then I also wanted to discuss, I have just a,
With the gas and electrics on the front end, you need to make sure that there's no trees planted in the easements out front.
okay.
That's true.
Yeah, and that'll be up to, the covenants of what the city, prepares for that. I'm not proposing any trees, I do have this is a draft set of plans. I do have where I feel I can turn in a water permit, so Derek did sign the water permit for it. Nothing's, changed, and it's pretty straightforward of it. I did want to talk about the road and the profile a little bit, and, Darren, if you have some thoughts anyways, I'd like to, discuss those. So I'm gonna kind of describe how this road, will work. Page R1, if you wanna look at that, that's the page I'm on, just really the grade, that's what we're gonna talk about. And I would say it's gonna be pretty common sense or straightforward, but, better to talk about it than not. So when you're coming off of, business, old Route 51, envision you're gonna drop down into the subdivision, not drastically, or think about where the water is gonna go, so it's gonna come down off of there. There will be a low point. I don't have right now shown where there would be a turnout about in the middle of lot 1 and 2, of course at the V gutter. There would be a turnout for the water to drain off. It's gotta go somewhere. So there will be a little ditch from, roughly the middle of lots 1 or 2 that'll, head east, from those. So I still have to turn that out. But what I wanted to ask was, so the, coming down into there, I like the idea of the V gutter, but we could also do where there's not a V gutter, you could have it where it just the water sheds off. It doesn't matter to me, you know what I'm saying? Do you have a preference? Do you want it to come down? Do you care if it, just sheds off into where there's already gonna be kind of a ditch graded, from the road?
It's probably less money that way, isn't it?
It's still gonna be a concrete, they're still gonna have to, pour this, and it's not gonna be a V gutter now it's just gonna be a flat, we also could get rid of the V gutter, or get rid of the, the pan, that's all we're really be putting in. If we got rid of the pan, then it would just be an oil and chip. I like the idea of the concrete, because then it just makes a true road, it's not, in years whenever you oil and chip, you're just not gonna widen the road, it's gonna look nice anyways. But so, do you have a preference either way, what route, I'm fine with it. Yeah, I didn't figure I had a preference, I don't have one either, so I like what you wanna do though,
After it rains, we'll see how it works, and we'll have a preference.
yeah, exactly, right, that's why I bring it up, so, with that in mind, if we have the V gutter, then it's gonna carry the water to the ditch, and it's not going to shed off. In that case, then there won't be water sitting, coming on the bank, but then there would be more water potentially, coming down and then back around, so, I would say we'll go ahead and just have it where it'll shed off into the grass, and it'll dissipate anyways, so that's what I'll do there. I don't want to lose you guys and try to describe too much, but these are things that are worth discussing, and I know Darren understands them. So, but that's how it is. You'll drop in, and then it's going to come back up. Not very much, but so we will have a little bit of fill. About 250 feet into the lots, and then if we go on to the next page, from there it just tapers basically all the way back to the west, and then once we get to the end, then that's where we'll have another low point. We'll have, like I mentioned before, the storm sewer inlets that'll go underneath the detention pond. Sorry, it's on page R3. So, water will shed to the west. It'll be captured by these storm sewer inlets here. If it's not able to be handled I will have where it'll, overflow into the pond, and that's where it'll be retained. Those are if it's the larger storm. And then if there's even a larger storm, I have an overflow on the pond. Page do I have that on? Yeah, it's on page ST1. That kind of shows an overall layout. So once the pond, and I don't have contours or anything. I wanted to discuss this with you, but that's basically the concept. So the pond here, what it can't handle, and there would be an overflow to then go through the swale to the west of the property, kind of how it does naturally now, anyways. So that's the general gist of the roadway layout. I hope I didn't. I know you don't have a drawing in front of you, but in general, you're going to drop into the subdivision. You're going to come back up. You're not going to even notice it because it's not that much of a grade change, and then it's going to drop down. Coming to the west. That's how I envision the roadway will have the best drainage. Not going to have ponding. That'd be my biggest concern is if we have too flat of a road, then somebody's not going to be happy because ice sheet. Only person that's definitely Darren, he's going to have to he'd be the one not happy with it. So because he's got to work on it. So
The only I see is just adding. You say it's still the flow of the water, but it's a different type of flow of water towards that area, and it puts it in that little stream behind the slack pile, and that is where the drainage from the baseball field goes that way, and it floods on that curve. That's the only concern I still have on that, is it's a different, the water still goes that way, but now it's gonna go a lot quicker.
yeah, so that's the goal.
So,
that's the goal
If you're gonna
of
flood that curve out even
Yeah.
more, I don't know.
That's the goal of flooding. We are going to flood this retention area right here, so it's
Mhm.
going to retain the water. But I understand. Yeah, it is going to. There's going to be a storm tile pipe that runs back there, and it's going to outlet. It's going to be sized such that we're not adding any more flow back there. It is a different, like you're describing, but that's general practice. Standard practice in stormwater management.
Just,
Yeah.
That way people know.
Yeah,
If water goes
right.
up there, that's, it was seen before.
Yeah, short of building a giant pond on the south side of Assumption, which we've talked about many of years, that's I don't have a better option.
Yeah.
We'll manage the flow coming off of the subdivision. We can't manage everything coming into that area. So, but no, I appreciate mentioning. So that's really what I want to talk about for the streets.
Is there a way you can get the water instead of bringing it over down beside the tracks? Or down beside the school, the track there, if you took it to the railroad tracks, then it dumps off quicker, it goes under the culvert and down towards Whole House. That way. Is there a way to get the water over there?
So I looked at that a little bit because there is a tile that runs an 8-inch tile that runs from the east here, existing one, and it is so flat. Yes, you could put another one in. I'm open to options.
In other words, instead of going that way with it, if you went that way.
Take it west.
Yeah,
Yes.
Going down there.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean,
Just a thought.
the thing is, it'd be so flat. It's not going to get it over there, I guess, and I'd be worried about the tile getting plugged up per se. Then you have to maintain it. I'm not.
It's not gonna be flat running to where you gotta go now.
It's still gonna be flat, but not as flat. Yes, yeah. There's not very much grade fall from the outlet here to where they. I want to say it's a 48-inch. Is that right? That sounds 48-inch culvert that goes underneath, east of the slag or at the slag pile.
It's probably a 60 inch.
Yeah, off the top of my head, I can't remember, but
size.
it is flat from there to the west end. Because we did look at that option. So honestly, John Holthouse even was considering taking it. And I'm open to if you want to do something different. Honestly, if we can put more tiles in, I think you would be better off. But just the cost of putting those in is whatever. If the city wants to do something different, I'd be more happy to look at it. So But yeah, I guess this is what I've put together, kind of what the general discussions have been. Roadway, you know, kind of as I discussed it. And then so Jack has brought up, now that we kind of understand the roadway, it's very much matching the existing grade, except for on the east end there's a little bit of fill, and then at the west end there's a little bit of fill. But so I haven't got the sewer profiles finished yet, because Jack, you know, wants me to look at the option, let's say again, because we have discussed this before, west of where the new water treatment plant is going, if you remember where that is, just east of John Holthouse's house, south of Dollar General right now, there is a new manhole that was installed with sanitary phase 1. I looked at, you know, running it from that manhole south and then under, you know, Old Business 51. We discussed this before. I feel comfortable we can get 5 lots deep with only, you know, either if they're gonna have a basement, they're gonna have an ejector pump. If they have a crawl space, we can make it work. But that's 5 lots in. That's not all of the lots. The other lots are, you know, basically the sewer. If you imagine, you know, eventually the sewer's got to grade up, so that way, you know, sewer can flow down and can flow backwards. The sewer pipe is almost daylighting. When I say daylighting, the pipe's almost coming out of the ground, so it's not very deep at the west end. It is an option that I think if the city wants to consider it. I know Jack, and I'll describe it to him. I know he's not here. I think he mentioned he's gonna try to make it. The advantage of it is he doesn't have another pump station, you know, right now in this instance. My concern is the end lots, you know, with their sewer service and, you know, as those homes develop, you know, what those property owners are gonna have to deal with in terms of trying to get rid of their sewer. They will absolutely have to have ejector pumps, you know, little pump stations installed, which is not uncommon. It's done. In Springfield, they're actually implementing that all new subdivisions, and this is actually why you know, Jack's really describing it to me, because they've had CSO issues, just as Assumption has had, you know, with stormwater infiltrating into their sanitary sewer system. So if you can put the sanitary service up higher, you have a less risk of, you know, groundwater, you know, the water coming from the water table getting into the sewer. It would be, the reason I'm definitely bringing it up is if we want to go that route, it absolutely have to be in the covenants of, you know, that you're going to have an ejector if you're gonna have a basement. The property owner is going to have to accommodate working with the grades of the sewers that the city is able to provide. In the future, if this develops out, then absolutely we're gonna have to have a pump station. I don't see any other way to do it. Now, I don't know, that's not true. I guess if you build up the west side, you know, add a lot of fill, but that'd be a substantial amount. So it'd almost be the size of the slag pile. I don't have I guess a preference either way. You know, to me it's a little bit easier to put the pump station in now, and then I know that the grades they're going to work, but I also understand you know, putting the sanitary gravity sewer in. I wish Jack was here because then he could you know, be able to give his spiel. Darren, have you talked to Jack about this at all, or no, I haven't mentioned it. Well, after the last meeting, I know you had mentioned, you know, for me to talk with him a little bit more, and that's what kind of you know, spurred this conversation. I met with him and we looked at the advantages. We can make it work for the first 5 lots. I feel comfortable about those. The remaining, the first 5 lots deep, so 10 lots. Those first 10 lots, but further than that, the last 4, where there'd be you know, residential homes, absolutely they'd have to have an ejector, or the city would have to put a pump station in, you know, to make those accommodate those. So
I mean, there's situations in town where you have to have an ejector pump now anyway, right? Even with the new system in there, because
yes,
you're lower.
I'm not aware of of any that actually are sanitary. I'm aware of some that are stormwater ejectors. Yes, I think there probably are some that are existing. I remember when we were doing the survey to determine, there were some that were calling them ejectors, and they were just for their stormwater.
So anybody with a basement that has a bathroom in it has
Yes,
to lift it.
would have to have a ejector if we were to put it in that depth. But the advantage to the city is that there's less of a chance in the future to have stormwater infiltrating the sanitary sewer system, which is a big topic right now in the city of Assumption. So there are plus and minuses to it. There's nothing in the plumbing code. I did look into it a little bit. Springfield requires it because they've had CSO, so they require with their plumbing code in the city limits that you have to do this if you put a new subdivision in.
You have to put an ejector.
You have to have it where the sewer's not deep. Yes, so ejector. If
If you have a basement.
yeah, if you have a
with
crawl
bathroom.
space, then you would not need an ejector.
Yeah.
And really, if you have a home and then you have a basement, the sewer that is above the basement, it could gravity out. It's just the ejector lifts it up from the basement to the gravity line that then goes to the gravity sewer. So yes, that's what Springfield does. They've implemented. That's what they mandate, that you have an ejector. Now I have not read their actual code, but I've of course talked to plumbers that work in Springfield.
So you're saying the 10 lots on the east end would not have to have one?
They would
Or
have
they
to.
would.
No,
They'd
they
all
absolutely,
have to
They
have
would absolutely have to have an
ejector.
ejector if they
Okay.
put a basement in. If they just put a crawl space, I feel like they would be fine.
Those are the ones on the east.
Those are the
end.
ones on the east. The ones on the west, absolutely, even if they have a crawl space, are going to have an ejector.
Oh.
It's going to be coming out of the ground. So, but if I'm directed to do this, which is fine, I definitely, and I'll bring it up because it needs to go in the covenants. It has to be required. There's no way I should put this together if we don't talk about it. If I didn't bring it up and then we designed it this way, then it'd be like, well, why did you design it this way? So so I would like, if possible, some direction. I know this isn't the water and sewer committee, but I wanted to discuss it as streets because we want to talk about the profile of the roads, because that really controls. If I made the road 3 feet higher, then there'd be enough depth on the sewer, but then I'd also have to build the lots up, 4 feet. I'm already hoping to, build the lots up a couple feet to get the water to shed off. But we don't need to be building up all of the lots that much. That won't work out. So
Yeah, which one does Jack prefer between the two options?
he prefers the ejectors.
He does prefer,
Yeah,
okay.
he prefers the gravity sewer coming south on the opposite side of 51 and then heading west. You can quote me on that because he's definitely called me 3 or 4 times. So.
And the original plan, it was a lift station.
Yeah, so we've been discussing it as a pump station because I've looked at this before, and we discussed it. Maybe not discussed it as much detail as this. Getting initially it was looking at options and what is the I think cost wise right now it's probably you're not saving because you're gonna have to run further length of gravity sewer. You're gonna have to bore under Old 51.
Your initial installation, but the electric bill every month.
The electric bill, absolutely. So in the future, you won't have the pump station cost unless in the future you build a pump station because there's additional homes. But we can't say that what's going to happen. And then the last 4 lots, they're going to absolutely have to have ejectors, and not. They won't be able to have a crawl space that gravities. They'll have to have an ejector that discharges to the gravity sewer. There is one ejector in town, and that is across. Is it Gordon? Not Gordon. I'm blanking on across the creek. who is that, north of the?
Kramer.
Kramer's, yes, that's it. Not Kramer's, but that direction. North of the cemetery, there's that home. 'Cause I
Oh, Mike Garner's.
Garner's, that's, yeah, I was thinking Gordon, but Garner's, yes, that's, that has an ejector, because we, actually, I think it's operational, but I put together the plans for it a couple of years ago. Is that operational? That is
Mhm.
right, yeah. Good, I haven't seen it in a long time, so. Yeah, that does have an ejector, absolutely. So any thoughts,
Can we pass it to the housing committee? I know they.
Oh, you mean for them? I
Yeah.
mean, I'm happy with with the ejector. I mean, we can put it in with the covenants.
yes, yeah.
Yeah.
If another, just say this takes off and there were another 16 lots to the south of the ones we're proposing, could the same thing happen there? I mean, I know at one time we are thinking you'd need a lift station for sure if there were two sets.
Yes, I think as you get further south, you're probably going to be daylighting
Sooner.
sooner. So I don't know that you would be able to get too much further south. Maybe the first lot. I don't know. I haven't looked at that. Just looking at the depth of the of the sewer that I just have sketched on here, it's only about 4 or 5 feet deep.
So the lots on the west end could still have a basement with a bathroom. This ejector pump would work for all 16. I mean, they'd have to have one. I know, in each
if all of
home,
them
but-
had basements, they would all need ejectors.
Okay.
If the first couple lots only had crawl spaces, I feel we'll be able to accommodate the gravity sewer. The last 4 lots, either way, they will have to have a ejector to discharge, even if they have a crawl space. So there's not enough depth there.
So really, you need Jack's input for sure.
Yeah, I know Jack wants the gravity sewer because he doesn't
Yeah.
want to have to manage. Serious, he's called me 3 times about
Yeah.
it. So.
But that's the way,
Yeah.
that's the way that they're saying to have it though, right?
Yes, I mean
Yeah.
that's how, and I agree with him. I agree with both options. Both are right, I guess. It's just what's going to have to be maintained in the future. Is another pump station, and in this way, the homeowners are they're responsible for their ejector station basically. So I don't know. Yeah, I mean that's you can definitely we can push it off to the housing. So I do want to go over kind of the schedule of what I'm thinking on things, and we've talked about it a little bit. So right now I'm in permits. This is what I'd call a draft set, and really the 2 permits that are the holdup is water and sewer. Water, like I mentioned in the beginning, I have that signed and I'm going to get that turned in. And water here recently, the last one I just got was about 45 days, 60 days. I do have a sewer permit that I've just turned in and it's 90 days. So we have to turn it in first to get to that 90 day, then starts the 90 days. So I would like some direction on that. We could advertise and get bids before we have a permit, but we absolutely are not going to start construction on the water and sewer until we have permits in place. I mean, that's state law, so even if we were to turn in a permit for the sewer in, say, 2 weeks, we're probably looking into December before we have an actual permit for, and maybe the EPA will, get freed up and might have it back a little quicker than that, but I'm not going to guarantee anything. Make sure you guys are aware. And I know we talked about this, but I've just, I've recently talked with the EPA and got their input, so. That's where schedule of things is at. I could advertise, those. We could advertise the water, a little bit before time, and however the city wants to move forward. Going back, when we talked about how we're going to advertise this project, we were going to advertise multiple different kind of trades. So we're going to have, water. Jack was going to help put it in. Have somebody help run a trencher, or we hire somebody to have a trencher. Jack would help put the water main in. That's as it was discussed before. As far as everybody knows, it's still the plan, right? As far as I think Jack still agrees to that. and then we would also advertise the sewer. Somebody would install the sewer completely. We'd have to have somebody that bore under the road if we're going to do that. So we'd have to have somebody that install a pump station if we're going to do a pump station. I would say one advantage of not doing the pump station right now is pumps are about 6 months out. So if we were to, advertise, get bids,
6 months.
then we would authorize that contractor, and then the pumps would be here in 6 months. So, not say that we're going to have homes that are finished in that time frame anyways. They probably show up right whenever have a house maybe that's ready for sewer. But that's kind of the schedule on that. Could go ahead and start having the storm sewer installed. So storm sewer and some grading, entrance access with culvert. That was kind of the plan, is we'd have storm sewer and some of the excavation done as a bid, and then the roadway would be the finished roadway work's really the last thing other than cleanup, because you don't want to put a roadway in, a finished roadway anyways, before you put a sewer in the water that you're going to tear up anyway. So I'm fine with however. I just want some thoughts on what to do. So yes, when we get the water permit turned in, I could be working on getting an advertisement for the storm sewer and earth excavation work. We'll need to get the subdivision plat recorded, and all that stuff needs to be filed still in process. And I know the property purchase is still in getting that worked through. So, what's your guys' thoughts on moving forward with me advertising, or with? I'm not saying I want to either way. I don't care.
Yeah.
I think that sounds fine. So I'll work towards that.
Did you ever talk to John about the ground swap?
About, yes, the land up there. He didn't really seem too interested. Now that was
Instead
It was
of
almost a year ago.
Instead of the initial
yeah,
cash, in other words, the city's got 17 acres up there,
yeah.
and he farms that strip anyway, so.
It's that little strip that's up there, but you know what we're talking about. Yeah. I mean, I could bring it up again, but it's about a year ago. It was no, it's a little.
Mark, do you get Ameren bids too? Is that part of the deal?
So yeah, I mean, I won't have to get a really a bid. It'll be just I get a quote, and I will
A quote,
do that.
yeah.
I
An
mean,
updated quote.
absolutely, because I'll have to send them the plans, and they'll then lay it out, and but yes, I'll take care of it. I plan on
And
it. So.
Consolidated mentioned they'd lay fiber optic when I don't know if it's water. Is it water is opened or something's opened up? They
Yeah.
would lay it right in the same.
Absolutely, they've done that before. Whenever we're doing sewer, so no, I'll coordinate with the utilities to make sure they know what the schedule is.
Is there, I know that Jack's mentioned this before, but since that's a new subdivision, instead of having us to have to fight whenever we come to dig somewhere, because there's so many lines everywhere in the ground right now, having somehow all of the spark light, CTI, all that stuff in one thing.
So I think that's a legal question you'll have to ask, but in my understanding is there is
Casing. And casing for the,
yeah, but I believe there's a federal and state statute that says they have the right to go in your right of way however they feel. Now you can ask them if they want to go in have a conduit, and maybe that probably would be easier for them. But I don't know if you can force them to do
because
something
it's,
they
when
don't.
we go to dig anywhere now, it's
Yeah, I
just,
see what you're
it's
saying.
terrible.
Yeah. I think that'd be a legal question that you'd have to ask the attorney.
I wouldn't think that there would be a law on that. But, I mean, it makes perfect sense.
Well, I don't think there's.
Well, I was just saying, since it's a new area
Yeah,
starting
yeah.
now,
Yeah, but
there.
this will be your dedicated right of way.
Yeah.
Where the road is, And, you know, there are federal laws about fiber optics that they don't even have to get a franchise agreement because they have a blanket franchise agreement.
Yeah, they use
So, I'm not, yeah, I think you could
Yeah.
absolutely, you know, have the conversation that, you know, that's what you wanna do. I don't know if you can force them to do that, though, I guess that's what I'm thinking, but that would be more of a legal question. But absolutely, I'll talk with the utilities, you know, and see what they, yeah, see what they wanna do, I guess, so. So that sounds good. So right now, yeah, I mean, I'll get things ready. I'm not focused on getting the sewer because I'm waiting for, you know, I'd like to really get some direction on it, so. And I'm not going to have the road bid until I know what the sewer is, doing, because that's gonna affect some things if I gotta cut across the highway. But the water and storm sewer, I'll definitely get those, so. Cause I think the last water permit I got was actually pretty quick, so I think water could go in storm sewer, absolutely. It's a little bit of earthwork, but.
So if you apply now, we would get them by December, you're saying?
So as of right now, the sewer is 90 days. I mean, I literally just asked today on another project, and it's 90 days. Water has been, the last one I got was about 45 days, so I'm going to turn in the water permit. Derek just signed it, so I'm gonna turn it in, probably mail it in tomorrow. So it'd be 45 days roughly that I expect I could have that permit. But I think I'll advertise, no, I think we can advertise that work before we have the permit actually, so we'll be in a position to go ahead and either authorize it or wait till we get a permit. But we'll go ahead and advertise, and then we'll get bids for a project, and then we'll be able to, you know, award it, but then contingent upon having the permit actually in place, so. Those, the
Would you
water's-
have most of the bids back or estimates on, you know, like Ameren and everything so that they'd be open well before the November meeting?
I think, yes, I'd have the water and the storm sewer, I'd have those for the November meeting. I'd have them open before, because these are small projects, so I typically would advertise, I'll just advertise 2 weeks for this. State statute says 10 days. So I'll have those two for the November meeting. I guess I'll make sure everybody knows I am off, taking vacation through the first week of October. Well, we're going to Florida, that's just a side topic. So I won't be at the board meeting for October meeting, but so it'll probably advertise the second week in October, and then, you know, get bids 2 weeks after that, so it'll be right before the November meeting, so it can be on the November board meeting. I don't have a problem with the storm sewer getting awarded. We'll have to, I think it'll need to discuss for the water, because we'll have the permit at that time. But honestly, I think it could be discussed that in the November meeting, Jack can order the water main and get it all, you know, coming, and, yeah, I think that's the way to go, actually. I'll talk to Jack about that, so.
I might find out too, if you talk about us helping with like the water main, a lot of these tiling companies have a apparatus they have hooked to it, where they tile,
Yeah.
Yeah,
and then they back into it and slide the
that's the plan, yep,
main together
absolutely.
instead of us trying to get in the
Get in there and
trench and
try to
slide
do
it
it.
together
Yeah,
too.
Absolutely, that's been the plan all along. Yeah, that's what Jack wants to do, so, and I think it'll save,
Because we don't have anything to straddle the trench to go down and pull that pipe
Yeah.
back in. It's all in the trench with the bars
Yes.
that it is.
yes, yep, absolutely, I'm familiar with that. And I know a number of tiling contractors that might be interested, so that'd be the plan, and that's been all along, so. That sounds like for the water, it sounds pretty good. Jack can order the water main, you know, can be approved November meeting. We'll have bids for the trenching work to help put it in, and then the storm sewer as well. I don't know if there's a preference if the city purchases the storm sewer, you know, up front. Do you have do you have, or just want to have a contractor come in and do the install and you know, get it all done?
I guess they do that, yeah.
Probably easier.
Contractor.
Yeah, because that way, Jack's very familiar with water mains, that way he'll be able to get all that ordered, but I don't see any problem with that.
Sometimes you just get some better prices.
Yeah.
It's just good stuff.
Sounds good, that's the direction I'll go, and, I'll hold off on the sewer until I get a little further direction on it. what do you think is the next, what housing committee, or when's that gonna?
Who's on the housing committee?
Yes, Selena and Donnie are the two aldermen, and you got Joyce. There's a few people who's on it.
We don't have a schedule, we don't meet on a regular basis, just kinda when needed.
Joyce sends us an email that.
I just don't know what sells easier, I mean, cause, the injector pump, you're signed on to, you know, once you purchase a lot, you have an injector pump, and you probably wanna get a generator on top of that, cause just in case of that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
But,
But you wouldn't, if you had at least the hot lots on the east, if you had your sewer, you know, you could have it gravity, just what would not be served, so I follow where you're going with the generator, just the basement would not have ejector ability. You know, that's a good point there, you would definitely bring up the generator part of it.
That's betting on everybody putting basement.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a little bit of a thing that has to be explained to,
Right.
and it'll vary depending on if you're on the east end or the west end.
If we
And
didn't talk about it, then all of them would put basements in, and they wouldn't be able to put bathrooms in, so.
It's all up front.
no, I know,
Yeah.
I'm just saying that's another level of explanation and
Yeah.
stuff, along with a lot of.
Well, I know what Jack's, you know, I know what his opinion is, and I support either way.
It'll be cheaper for the city for sure, right? Because they
I-
won't have a lift station. Or,
I think it's, you know,
It's
you're
the
gonna.
continued power bill.
Yeah, well, the continued power bill is where you're gonna save in the long run, but you're still gonna have to bore the highway, the old 51, because I wouldn't open cut it, and then you'll have the extra gravity sewer that has to run to the north. So I think it's probably, you know, it's about a wash. If you follow what I'm saying there.
yeah.
The board's pretty cheap now.
Yeah, that's because you got somebody in town doing a lot of boring. So
Well, this guy came out of, Petersburg, yeah, but there's a guy,
out
Peters
of
down there.
Ramsey, right? I think.
Raymond area, he came over and did that, under that driveway, and it was
Yeah.
very reasonable. So, it's not what it used to be, you know,
Yeah.
it's not $10,000 more than
Yeah,
the highway.
that was
used to be.
also a 6-inch line. This is going to be an 8-inch line that they have to have a little bit deeper. So it's, but you're right. I mean, yeah.
Okay.
So yeah,
I'm
I
sure he's
just
on
let me know, you know
bid
what
list.
what direction that goes. So
Make sure he's on the bid list. I don't know how that gets done. It's hard to do, but they just post it.
yeah.
Turn the meeting over to you.
I thought he was
We'll be
pretty
oiling
cheap
and
or
chipping
something.
hopefully Tuesday, depending on the weather.
Good.
We'll see when we pushed off for a couple days. I don't know if it gets pushed off, weather and stuff. We kinda held off because you couldn't do, elementary because all the traffic and stuff.
Yeah.
That's the main one, so we're kind of at the end of the season. Hopefully we get it done, otherwise, if it gets too late, we may not do any oil and chipping. We'll just have to see.
That's fine.
Should start, depending on the weather again, the path to Dollar General probably Friday.
Oh, okay.
If possible. Once again, it's all about the rain coming. So that's about all I got. Other than that, we talked about everything else down the list. So,
Maybe start for like next year. You want to like come up with some rules on limbs. I mean, people's cutting down whole trees, and that is just a little much.
whole trees, I mean,
Yeah.
you could do some, you can Google a little research and stuff. A lot of places, even like Decatur, when they had the storm damage,
Uh-huh.
you know, there's limits of 6 foot long, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Limit to 1 pile per lot, stuff like that. I mean, I don't know, you'd have to go through and look up some stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Blue
Really
Mountain
figure it out.
actually just brought this up, and they have something in their ordinance. You might ask
Do
them. They have where they have like something 6 foot or something like that. You said, yeah.
I mean, it's gotta be
It's
able
just
to,
getting a bit much for you guys. I mean,
yeah, a lot of them, if they can drag it out there with their truck, they lay it at the edge of the road and there it is.
there it is. You're right.
We go there and.
We have to cut it up.
It's me and
That's-
Dana cutting it up, and we spend, you know, you can spend an hour at one house.
One house, that's
and
exactly right.
There's 600 other houses to do,
Yeah, that's very
so
ridiculous.
it's quite a bit, you know, it just
Yeah.
is, but
You guys seem to have a lot, like, abusing the system.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's getting worse. Yeah.
And there's all kinds of stuff in the piles. We've talked before.
Yeah, we
about it.
have,
I mean, there's all
yeah.
kinds of stuff in the piles. It's not just limbs anymore. There's all
Gardens,
kinds
it's,
But yeah, you could take a look at it. I mean, the
Yeah.
season's coming towards us slim there. We can look at it in the future, whatever.
Okay. If I would bring it up. That's the only thing I have. I don't have anything else.
You guys got anything?
No.
Think that's good. All right, we'll call the meeting adjourned then.